Hello everyone, welcome to the first of several videos on violin and viola technique. Hope you find these helpful in your practicing at home. Today I want to talk about beginning vibrato exercises. So we want to check our hand position first and make sure that our hand is set up in the most relaxed manner. Our thumb should be resting on the neck. The fleshy part of your thumb should be resting on the neck right here. We don't want to see any of this happening. If our thumb gets up too high, it ends up popping our wrist under and it really limits our motion for vibrato. So if I try to vibrate here, as you can see, by the time I get to my third finger, I barely have any movement in the hand because I'm limiting my motion so much. Another thing we want to avoid is the thumb coming way underneath the neck. That pops my wrist out to the side and it changes the whole angle of my shoulder and forearm. Now while the vibrato is a little bit better here, I can feel tension running all the way through my shoulder, elbow, and wrist, and over time this is going to cause other pain and issues, potentially injuries. So again, ideal hand position starts with thumb, the fleshy part of your thumb resting on the neck. There should be a little window, a little bit of space here, and a nice curved finger position that allows space. That way we can move with the most freedom. As we begin our basic vibrato exercises, we want to make sure that at all times we are keeping the movement under our control and as slow as possible at the beginning. If we let it get out of control, we are going to bring in tension into the hand, and it's going to give us very limited options on the style of the vibrato, the width of the vibrato, and the speed of the vibrato. So, to begin with, we're going to find that hand position again. Making sure our fingers are rounded, making sure that we have space, that our thumb is not popping up or coming underneath the neck. And we're going to start with first finger on the G string. We're going to make sure that that knuckle joint, the first knuckle in our finger, is relaxed because that knuckle is going to need to move as our hand moves back and forth. As you could see, I was controlling the motion of the vibrato so that I heard two distinct pitches, almost a half step apart. So there should be 4 notes in each bow. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. As I work my way up the scale, I'm still controlling that motion nice and slow and very rhythmical, making sure I'm playing 4 pitches, about a half step apart, for each bow. The motion of the vibrato, again, is coming through that first joint and a relaxed wrist, which allows the hand to move back and forth. At this point, we're not engaging the whole forearm. It's not this motion. There is an arm vibrato that some people teach. I believe that we should start with the hand motion first and then work on arm vibrato later. The arm is not going to be incorporated into your vibrato as often. You would only use that if you needed a really, really wide and strong vibrato, and occasionally you're going to engage more of that arm. But to start with, we want to make sure that the motion is coming from the wrist, hand, and finger joints, letting this stay relaxed. We're going to continue working our way up the scale using 4 beats, so a total of 8 notes if we consider each oscillation a separate note. And this time I'm going to add in a metronome so that I can keep myself very, very steady. I have it set to quarter note 72. So as you could hear, I use the metronome to make sure that I'm keeping myself as steady as possible, and especially with this slow tempo, making sure that the oscillations, the movement back and forth in the vibrato is as wide as possible, so I still am hearing those two distinct pitches. Once I feel really comfortable with that, I can double time the vibrato. As you could hear, that was twice as fast. And as we speed up our vibrato, the temptation is for our hand to go out of control and just start to speed up. As we get our vibrato faster and faster, we need to make sure that the motion is still controlled. The easiest way to do that is to make sure that the oscillations of the hand are still wide. You still want to hear those two distinct notes. So even though it's faster, keep the motion of the hand the same. Once you are comfortable with playing 4 oscillations per beat, you would then speed it up twice as fast again to play 8. It's going to sound like vibrato to you, but if you listen carefully, you can count along and you can hear the subdivision of each beat. The process I showed you of taking the motion of vibrato, breaking it down into 2 distinct notes, and gradually speeding it up is not a process that you're going to do in 5 minutes. This is going to be over several weeks. And for the first couple days, just focus on that very, very slow, controlled motion. Once you feel totally comfortable and relaxed and very steady with this tempo, then you can speed it up. If you're having any trouble getting the feel of the hand motion down in first position, you can always start with your hand up on the body of the instrument. So if we come onto the A string and we find our A harmonic, our palm should be resting against the body of the instrument, and we have something to rest our hand on, something to give us support, which can make that motion a little easier at the beginning. I'm still playing a nice wide vibrato and I'm still keeping it very steady. Again, you can do that with the metronome. But the added support of playing against the edge of the instrument can help you, and then as that becomes more comfortable, bring that hand down again. I hope that you find these tips helpful. Remember, when you're practicing vibrato, start slow and take your time. You're not going to get to a fast vibrato in a matter of minutes, hours, or even days. This is a process that's going to take weeks. And be patient with yourself. Use those scales to help you practice. And sign up for a lesson with one of your El Sistema teachers. We can continue working on this one-on-one.